So this is our best movies we saw in 2023, and as we mentioned in our worst video, these are movies that have to have come out in the year 2023. So just to preface that, we got that's kind of where we're at with this specific ranking. We're all going to start giving our third best, and then we'll go around the room, and then second best, and then our best movie of the year. And we'll just I'm curious to see what everybody has. But before that, for those watching, if you enjoy what we do, and you want to see us put out more and more content, and just get better quality content out to you, please support us by subscribing, liking, giving us comments, feedback through the comments, so we can see how we're doing, how we can improve. We love to converse with y'all, and just it helps us to really push something that and maybe devote more time to something that we really right now are just doing in our spare time. So, like I said, any way you can do that, please do that, and we just thank y'all for watching. But that being said, let's jump right in, and I'll actually start us off with my third best one this year. This is a conversation I feel like I had. I can't remember if it was with you, Schultz, or somebody else, but there was a lot of movies I watched this year. The majority of the movies I watched that fell somewhere in between best and worst, and so I feel like there's a lot of movies that should be on this list according to a lot of people based on the amount of money they made or what people said about them. And I just and I know we're all different in our tastes and the things we like to watch, but for me it was just, I don't know, my list was probably a lot different than the average person would have chosen. So yeah, so the third best one I saw this year, this is purely our opinion. We're going based on what we enjoyed the most. My third best this year was probably Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, and it. I love a good war film. This one was probably one of the better ones from a story perspective, and just the directing and execution of it. One of the best war movies I'd seen in a while. And they're a dime a dozen, but they're not always easy to pull off. And what I loved about this one is it really has a really personal story to it that is very emotional, and really has a really nice payoff in the end. It has some really intense action sequences, and they really the 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 action sequences are really great. They feel realistic. Everything's shot, on location, really cool set pieces and stuff. So but yeah, I just love the story. Jake Gyllenhaal is the main actor in this film. He does an excellent job as usual. And all the supporting actors do a fantastic job as well. So I'd highly recommend, if you have not seen Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, that would be up there on the list of ones I would recommend to people to watch from last year.
Yeah, I did not get a chance to go see it actually, or watch it. I think didn't it come out on Amazon Prime, or was it in theaters actually? I can't.
Yeah, I caught it on Amazon Prime.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was an original though. Was it original, like by Amazon, or
No, it came out in theaters.
it did? Okay,
Yeah,
I
it was
wasn't
a
sure.
theatrical release, and then
Okay.
it came out. But I never got around to watching it either, and I'd heard a little bit about it. So when it came up
Yeah.
on Amazon Prime, I was like, oh, I got to watch this, and it was well worth it. So
Okay. Yeah, that was kind of one of the movies I put on my list to watch. Same with like Gran Turismo as well. I haven't seen that yet, but I really want to go see it because I heard it was really good. But same thing in The Covenant. I heard it was very good, the movie. So
I would highly recommend. Y'all should watch it.
it's on my list. So
who wants to give us their third best of the year?
you want to go, TMR, or do you want me to?
Nah, you can go ahead and get it.
All right, so my third best that I've seen last year would be Extraction 2, actually.
Okay.
I thought it was pretty well put together. The action scenes, choreography was very, very good, I felt like. And the fact that they had, like, have you guys seen the movie, for starters, actually, or no?
Nope.
I have heard good things about. Yeah,
Okay.
I've heard good things about both of them, and I have not ever gotten around to watch. There's so many streaming movies out there. It's like I feel like I've got a list a mile long that I've got to try to see.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I highly suggest you guys watch the first one. First one was great. They had like a little 5 minute long one take fight scene that was amazing. And they stepped up the bar even higher on the second one, and they had an 11 minute one take action
Wow.
scene that involved like a train, a car chase, like literally all in one take, and it was crazy. Like it was a fantastic scene. Loved it. And I mean, I feel like that comes with like the fact that Joe Russo, the Russo brothers, were the ones that directed it. And that helps out a ton. I feel like they're great directors. They directed probably top 3 best Marvel movies we've seen. I feel like, or they put out, which is was the Civil War, I think, Infinity
They
War, and then
did.
Endgame. And they actually
I
did
think
Winter
they did
Soldier.
Winter Soldier
Yeah, I think
and
they did Winter
Civil
Soldier.
War,
Well,
and they did Avengers. I think they did Infinity War and Endgame, didn't
they
they?
Yeah, they
did.
did both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if they did the Winter Soldier though, but yes, they for sure did
I
actually.
think they did Winter Soldier. I could be
I'm
wrong
pretty
about
sure
that,
they
but I'm
did.
pretty
Yeah.
sure they did.
So I mean, they just have a really good track record with doing pretty well at directing movies and stuff, and I think they did a pretty good job with this. The writing was pretty decent. Action sequences were like up to par to like John Wick type level, action sequences and stuff. Yeah, it was just all around decent movie. I'd say, and it had like a little bit of emotion to it. The plot was good, like just all around good movie. So
That's good to know too, because the last Russo brothers movie I watched, I turned it off. It was
which
I
one was
think it's
that?
called The Gray Man, maybe.
Great man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
crazy actually. Yeah, I haven't seen that
Yeah,
yet. It looked
I
pretty
turned it
decent,
off
but
like halfway through. I was like, this is it. It wasn't, in my opinion, was not a very good film, but
Mhm.
okay.
it was very oddly shot. Had some crazy things they did with some of the colors and stuff was
Mhm.
was crazy, and
I
it
think
was it was a little out there.
mm,
Um,
I think that
but
was the one with Jake Gyllenhaal, right? And no, Ryan
that was
Gosling.
Ryan
It's
Gosling.
fine.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling. Yeah, Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans, right?
Chris Evans.
Yep.
I'm trying to remember the female actress, if it was Anna Diarmas or if it was somebody else.
That sounds right.
Um,
Anna de Armas. Yeah, I think that was no.
Yeah, it was. It was her.
Was it? Okay.
yeah,
'Cause
I'm
I know
pretty sure.
her and Chris Evans, I think, were recently in a movie that was like not great. I heard it was like top 5 like worst rated
It
movies of
was
the year.
Apple's Ghosted, I think is what it was.
Ghosted,
that was
yes,
not.
yes.
I
That
heard
wasn't
both. I can't
Diarmas
remember.
though. That was
Oh, it wasn't. I thought it was her.
Yeah, it was her in
it
Ghosted.
was her.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and
Okay.
that has Chris Evans
I,
in it too, though, right? I think.
yeah. For
Okay.
some reason, I almost said Scarlett Johansson, but I was like, no, that's not right.
No.
Um. Okay. Well, that's good. I do want to see the Extraction movies. They're on my list, so
Mhm.
I'll have to
Yeah, I
get
highly
around to
suggest
doing that.
suggest both of y'all watch it. I think you guys would enjoy it probably if you like action. Like if you like John Wick style movies, you'll for sure like Extraction.
Yeah.
I know you'll probably like it, Johnny, for that reason. So.
Yeah.
That's all you got to say.
Yep. So he said John Wick, and I was like, yep.
All right, so my number 3 movie was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem movie. It was extremely good. I know that it's got that Spider-Verse style animation where it's like the it's almost like the stop motion looking animation, and I absolutely love that. I think it's so cool. I feel like the story was well put together. It was a really, really fun little one-off movie that I felt like was very well put together. And like I said, the animation was fantastic. And for an animation movie, I loved the action. Like it was just really, it was really inventive and really cool. And then I know a lot of people have talked about how they liked how the turtles are actually teenagers in this movie, and they act like kids. Like it's really cool. The dialogue, a lot of the dialogue that was written for the characters, very well put together as well. And it made you actually feel like you were watching teenagers with ninja equipment running around, and it was a really fun movie.
Nice, yeah, I second that. Actually, that was a fantastic movie. I took my nephews to go see it, and they absolutely loved it. And I honestly loved it. I was laughing the entire movie. Like, it was a great movie. Action was great. Yeah, like you said, like teenagers, like the turtles actually acted like children, like teenagers, and that was really cool to see them like dancing around and stuff randomly, like joking around. So
I'm a big TMNT fan, so I'll have to watch that one. I feel like I heard mixed things about that, so that's good to know that it was enjoyable, because I feel like there hasn't been a good I don't know that there's ever been just a really good Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. So, I mean, I enjoy, because of the nostalgia factor, the ones from like the 90s that were the live action ones. They're not great movies.
Bro, those things are so creepy.
They are creepy looking.
And if
What is
y'all have
that?
not, if y'all haven't seen the picture of the suit,
Were you
they
sitting in like
found-
the dark or something like that? And it's like breaking down slightly, kind of
Yeah,
like
no.
the
So
suit
there's
or something?
that there was somebody who found one of the suits from the movies in somebody's basement, and it had like like
Oh, that's
rotted.
what it was.
And it
Yeah.
was the most disturbing
No, thank you.
Yes.
thing I'd seen.
No,
I know
thank
exactly what you're talking
you.
about. That's what I'm talking about as well. Yeah, he was like rotting. Yeah, the
It
suit
was like
It was like a
worse
horror
than worse
movie,
than a
like type
horror
deal.
movie.
Yes.
Absolutely not.
I
Johnny
cannot
did not
imagine
sleep
walking
that
down.
night.
Could you imagine being the person who found that though?
Oh, dude.
God.
Oh, I'm
just
out of there.
randomly turn on the light in the basement and just see that, bro. I'm booking it up the stairs
Yeah,
right
there's
away.
no way.
Yeah.
Oh no.
But yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's good to know. That one's going on the list as well. So,
Right.
but yeah, so I'm gonna give my second one. Funny enough, my number one and number two were both straight to streaming movies. I feel like it's hard to. I feel like in some ways the streaming movies, why they do better in a lot of ways is because I feel like Hollywood's gotten to where every movie they make's got to be $200 million, and it's got to be, over the top. And I think what a lot of these streaming movies do is they really simplify things, and they shoot a lot of stuff, on location, and they make it look very realistic, which is the type of movies I like to see. That's why I'm a big like Christopher Nolan fan, and George Lucas obviously with Star Wars was a big practical effects person, and so I really lean into those type of things. But this one, I had it recommended to me way earlier last year, and just put off watching it, and then I finally got to it a few weeks back. But it is going to be the movie Air that is on Amazon Prime, and that was actually about Nike and how they won, Michael Jordan's shoe endorsement, and kind of how they went from a nobody basketball shoe company to a nobody in terms of basketball shoe department to maybe the biggest one of all time at this point. So really, really great. A-list actors: Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Jason Bateman, Viola Davis is in there as well. Like there's one or two other guys that I'm not thinking of. But yeah, just really, really great performances from all those actors. It's directed by Ben Affleck, which is really he's one of those directors that is very underrated. But just about everything that he's made, that he's directed, I've enjoyed. So he's definitely up the list of directors I like to see. So yeah, just really, really cool sort of biopic, telling a true story, and just kind of I don't know. I just really enjoyed it. I'm a sports guy, obviously, so I like that aspect of it. I'm a big Michael Jordan fan, so even though he's a very small part of the movie itself, but yeah, I would highly recommend it. That'd be my number two on the list.
Good. I haven't seen that. That another movie on my list to watch. I heard great things about it, but I just haven't gotten around to watching it. But I do really want to watch that. That and one movie with Taron Egerton that played Elton
Tetris.
John,
Yeah,
or whatever his last name is. Yeah, but the movie about the Tetris. Yeah, Tetris.
Yeah.
I really want to see that movie as well. That was kind of gave that same vibe as like the Air movie for some reason for me when I watched the trailer. Yeah, it's like on my list as well. But
I think the problem is for me, like the reason I don't get around to watching all these movies is you have to have a streaming subscription for all of these, and it's for like 4 different services. And me personally, I can't afford all the subscription services. So it's like, if another pitch for the channel, those of you watching, the more you support us, the more subscriptions we can afford. So there you go. That's my shameless plug for the day. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard to keep up with the all the subscription services, and like I'll have to go look and see, hey,
Yeah.
can I even watch this? Do I have a subscription to see this movie? Is it
Mhm.
on this service or this service? And all of it's getting very ridiculous. And I'll go to Redbox, and usually I can go to Redbox and rent movies. And now Redbox has gotten to where they're not even carrying as many movies anymore because all these streaming services are getting like exclusive rights to it. So it's getting really hard to watch movies even on demand or like without having to pay $7 to rent a movie or something.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's kind of stinks, but I don't know if that's stopping anytime soon, unfortunately.
Yeah. It kind of sucks like the day and age now though, like it's just streaming stuff. Like I remember like going to like Family Video or like Blockbuster with my parents to go pick
Hollywood
out
Video, yeah.
Hollywood Video, yes, another one.
Yep.
And like that was just like such like peak cinema right there.
Yep.
It's just like going there, going to get like some pizza afterwards, and then taking it home, watching like 3 movies till like 3 a.m. Type deal with your buddies. Like,
Well, it's like Christmas morning when you walk in there and all the DVDs on the shelves, and you're just like, oh
yeah,
goodness.
yeah, those are the days. I miss them.
Yeah,
all that stuff was still around. Like it was like right when I was a kid was when all of that stuff was about to start going away. So that's how I ended up watching the Amazing Spider-Man movie was when I would go spend the night with my grandmother. We would do that kind of stuff. We would go to a store and pick out a couple movies and get a pizza and go back to her house and watch stuff. So I have a lot of good memories, and like I said, that was like about to start ending when I was younger.
Yeah, those were the days. Those were the days.
Well, Schultz, give us your
my second one.
second.
So this one I feel like it's probably like on a ton of people's probably list for like top movies they saw last year. But my second one is the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. When I go see that, I went to go see that in theaters. I really enjoyed the first one for starters. That was a really good movie. I thought they did a really good job with it for the plot, the story, the characters, and the art style as well. Like kind of how you mentioned with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is kind of just like I don't know how to explain it. Like I don't know like what kind of like art style that'd be like. I guess it's like it just feels kind of slow motion and like kind of like laggy in a way. I guess you could say. I don't know. Like they have like specific name for it, but
To me, it feels like someone just took a colored pencil and like drew the characters on there. That's what they remind me of when I watch it. Just like a colored pencil drawing almost.
Yeah, and I don't know why. I just really enjoyed that like type of like art style that they do with it. I think it looks really cool. And for the second one, at least, I thought the story was really well done. I think they kind of like ended on a really good cliffhanger too. That got me like when I came out of the theater, I was like, dang. I really can't wait for the next one. Like, I really want to see what happens next because, like, they kind of just left it on like a pretty like pivotal point in the movie. I felt like,
yeah.
And so yeah, it just kind of got me to like, man, I cannot wait now to go see this next one that comes out, and I'm hoping it comes out soon, type deal. But yeah, I just think they did a really good job with it as well. Just kind of was just like, I don't know, just kind of had me like happy inside, I guess you could say, while watching. I was like, wow, this is like a really heartfelt movie. I felt like so.
That's what a movie's supposed to do, though, right? You're supposed
100%.
to sit in there and just thoroughly enjoy the experience. I mean, that's why we go, right?
Yep, 100%. So
that's cool.
Yeah, there were some sequences of that movie that I was like on the edge of my seat grinning because it was just one of those really fun movies.
Yeah, well, and there were so many scenes that just like kind of like had your like jaw drop as well.
Yes.
Like, while he's getting chased by all the different Spider-Man, that was like such a great scene. Like, I love that so much. Like seeing all the different Spider-Men try to attack him and like get him down and apprehend him and stuff. And it was just like really good. And then like I'm not gonna go more in detail. I don't want to like spoil for other people that haven't seen it, but yeah, that just entire sequence of him getting chased down by every Spider-Man in any other universe was just phenomenal. Loved it.
Yeah.
So,
well, TMR. What you got for us?
My number 2 pick was The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
That might be a spicy one.
Yeah, I know. And I figured it would be. I didn't read up on it very much, so I don't know. I don't necessarily know what other people thought about it, but I enjoyed it. This is also coming from someone that has not read the books, that is planning to read the books. I'd heard that it had gotten a fairly decent, that I felt I had heard that the movie did the book justice in a lot of ways. I don't know how accurate that is, but just like I said, as someone that has not read the books, I enjoyed the movie, and so that was what made my number 2 spot for the year.
So I have not read that book. I read the original trilogy a long time ago, and I've obviously seen all the movies for the original trilogy. I stand by that those are still some of the better adapted book to movie films in
Yeah.
terms of staying accurate to the books that there are. People don't necessarily get the critical acclaim maybe that some of your Lord of the Rings or your Harry Potters or some of those series have gotten, but I feel like as someone who's read the books, they stick very closely to them, and I mean the actors do a good job of portraying the characters for the most part. Woody Harrelson's fantastic, by the way. He is like the way his character is in the movie is like how he is in the book. He's once again plays a fantastic role. But I still think in the books and in the movies, obviously books first, she marries the wrong guy. So should have been Gale. That's still my opinion since I read the books, 10, 15 years ago. Sorry. PETA fans out there.
That's a hot take right there.
PETA fans out there sue me. So but yeah, no, I have not read the book, and obviously with this one being a later release of the year, I haven't gotten around to seeing it yet. So I will see it, but and maybe we'll do a review on that when all of us do. But that's interesting because I know the movie did not make a lot of money, but from what I understood, most of the people who saw it liked it. So
yeah,
it's got good.
I think it had a lot of. I mean, obviously, it had the source material already, and so it was able to pull from that. And like I said, from the little that I did hear, people said that it was adapted very well from book to movie. But even besides that, I feel like a lot of the choices for actors, I really liked a lot of the actors that were in it, and they all did a great job. There wasn't one thing that it just immediately turns me away from a movie is like a lot of really cheesy lines and stuff like that. And like I said, I know they were pulling from the source material, and so there wasn't a ton of room for them to get that wrong unless they just really, really messed it up. But yeah, it was a fun movie. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah,
well,
and I think
as the Hunger Games can get anyway.
yeah. Well, and it's one of those things. Like I'm with you. To me, if the dialogue is not intelligent, like obviously the script writers really thought it through. It's logical. It makes sense, and it's not just like Michael Bay style lines being spouted.
Yeah.
Which that was just the first director that came to mind. There's other ones like Zack Snyder's had some stuff like that. We'll get into this a little bit in terms of like maybe movies that didn't make this list in a second, but yeah, I'm with you. It's got to be intelligent dialogue. The characters have to be characters that you care about, like you care about what's happening to the characters, whether you like the characters or not.
Yeah.
It helps if it's like a character that you can relate to as well.
Yes.
For at least a lot of people, and for me, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's an interesting. I'm definitely gonna see that one. It's just that it was released so late in the year, I was not able to get around to it before we did this video. But
and one thing the author had said about when she was writing the book, and she's always said that she's not gonna write a book about something unless she feels like there's a story that needs to be told there. And so I really respect that, and I felt like that was another reason why the book and this movie, why I enjoyed the movie, was because it gives you a whole new perspective on Snow. For when you go back to watch the original trilogy, you get a whole new perspective on that, and I think that's a really cool thing.
Well, the book's only been out for like, was it less than 5 years or something?
It's not been out for very long, no.
Yeah. It's a new book. I remember seeing it on the shelves like just a few years ago.
Yeah.
I was never the biggest fan of the book series. I feel like it was more geared for like maybe. I mean, guys can definitely enjoy it, but I feel like it's definitely more of a romance, obviously based in the sort of dystopian, futuristic, Earth sort of
Right.
thing. It appeals to a lot of people, but I just never latched onto it as much as some other series. So, but anyway, it's definitely something I'm going to get around to seeing.
Yeah.
So that brings us to our number one films for 2023. Um, Mine might be one that a lot of people have not seen, and that's a shame for me. I feel like it's one that this one came out in January of last year, so it was really, really early on in the year, and maybe went a little under the radar because it's a little niche in terms of its genre, but and probably not the one you would expect me to pick as my first one considering the genre, but the best movie that I saw, in my opinion, last year was The Pale Blue Eye, which is a straight to Netflix movie, and it is starring Christian Bale, um, Harry Melling, which we would know him from. He played Dudley Dursley, the cousin of Harry Potter in the
Yeah.
Harry Potter series. He played I can't remember the guy's name in The Queen's Gambit, but he played one of the chess opponents of the main character, who eventually became one of her friends. He played one of the main characters in the Queen's Gambit TV series. But he is phenomenal. He actually plays Edgar Allan Poe in the movie. The movie's set in the 1800s or whenever it was, maybe early 1900s. I'm trying to remember exactly when Edgar Allan Poe when he lived, but it's based loosely, I think, on a at least either a true story or one of Edgar Allan Poe's stories. I'm not 100% sure on that, but essentially, the very brief summary is there's a murder that happens at West Point at the military academy, and Christian Bale plays basically an investigator, and he is sent to the school to try to figure out who did it because they understand it was someone at the school. They know that it was a cadet or somebody. So it's got this very sort of spooky, sort of Edgar Allan Poe esque vibe to it and look to it. Lots of fog and sort of dreary, settings and just sort of. But I think what really does it for me is it's all shot pretty much on location, practical effects. Very very engaging and interesting sort of murder mystery. Like I said, sort of almost it has a little bit of a horror element to it. It's not strictly a horror movie, but it has that element to it. And it's just I don't know, the performances to me they make you feel like you're in the 18 and early 1900s, and the way they speak, it just the way they dress, everything is just it's a very immersive movie. And I think the performances for me is what takes it over the top. The ending doesn't land the greatest. I feel like they could have done a little bit better job of maybe on the final act executing that, but it's still really, really well acted, looks amazing, and has a very interesting plot to it that is well worth watching. So I would highly recommend seeing The Pale Blue Eye if you get a chance.
I'll add that to my list as well, actually. It does sound kind of interesting, though.
Yeah.
I do like murder mystery like movies. I feel like they're enjoyable.
It is worth
genre.
it. I'll say that.
Yeah, I saw that one. That was just yet another one I did not get around to. There's quite a few of those.
Yeah, no, literally, a lot of them.
We should make a list of all the movies that were released in 2023, including streaming, and I bet you it would be like in the thousands or very nearly.
For
It'd
sure.
be insane.
For sure.
But
yeah.
All right, Schultz, what you got for us?
Well, my number one movie would be
the Barbie movie. Right?
Sure is.
No.
No, it's actually a Marvel movie, surprise it or not.
Oh.
Yeah.
I know what this one's gonna be.
Yeah, you already know, yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is my
Oh, yep.
most favorite movie of 2023. Really enjoyed it. I just really enjoyed the backstory of Rocket. I mean, he's like one of my most favorite characters in that entire series. Is Rocket Raccoon? Love him. I think he's hilarious. Bradley Cooper does an amazing job with being the voice actor of Rocket. Yeah, I really enjoyed the fact that they did a backstory about him and how like he came to be, kind of how he got his scars on his back or the metal plates and all that stuff in it. Thought that was a really good job. It was very emotional as well. Like you could just kind of like feel like I feel like Chris Pratt did a really good job as well. Like showing those emotions of like losing a possible friend and like what that could feel like, you know. And I think he did a great job doing that. And the action was great. I mean, that entire like hallway fight scene on the ship was phenomenal with the music playing in the background. I just loved it. Thought that was great. And yeah, the comedy again, just like it had its moments where it was like really funny, and then it could switch up and just be very serious. And I like enjoyed that. I mean, I thought they did a pretty good job on it. I don't think it had like, because I feel like the second one had like unneeded comedy in it. Kind of, it was almost like forced in a way.
Yeah.
This one kind of didn't really feel forced. It kind of just like flowed with the movie. I felt like, and I think it did a really good job of doing that. And
this is one that I debated putting in my top 3. It was very, very close.
It was at one time in my top 3, and then I ended up moving stuff around.
It brought me back to the glory days of Marvel, and it's like this is what I've been missing from a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
And it's proof that James Gunn can do serious emotional scenes in movies and take it seriously, because he is known to be, you know, more lighthearted, more comedic, but it gives me a little bit more hope maybe for what he might do with some of the DC stuff.
Yes.
That he can do some of that, because this one was, to me, by and far better than Volume 2. I'd probably still have Volume 1 over 3 just because it's a classic to me, but one of the best Marvel movie I have seen since maybe Infinity War. Like, I enjoyed it more than Endgame and more than No Way Home. So I think that one it was hard to not include it in the top 3, but I think it would probably slot it in at like 4 probably on my list. So
3.5.
That's fair.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that's very fair.
Solid pick for sure.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So my number one movie. I didn't think that either of y'all may not have seen this one, and but my number one movie of the year was the Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves movie.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes, and I went back and forth. A lot of my top 3 I felt like could have been moved around, and like I said, Guardians was on there at one point. There were a lot of really good movies this year, but the Dungeons and Dragons movie was, as a Dungeons and Dragons fan, it was a really, really cool movie. And there's a lot of things that happen in the background that you don't even realize are happening until you look at it later and see what was going on. So I don't know if y'all know anything about Dungeons and Dragons or how to play it or how it works.
I have been in I've been part of a campaign for like a very short period of time with some friends that are big into it. I enjoyed the experience of learning how. I don't know very much about it.
Right.
I'm a big fantasy genre fan, but I can't speak to a lot of the lore and stuff. I was in it for like a couple of months, and then it was like just too time consuming to commit to it. I had to get out, but I enjoyed it.
Same here. I'm a big fan of the genre, like fantasy genre and all that type of stuff. But I've never actually played it myself. I wouldn't mind playing it though. It looks like it'd be like a ton of fun.
A lot of fun. It just you have to commit minimum every time you sit down like 3 or 4 hours. It seems like
at least. Me, I've got a group that we play. We try to meet once a week, and it doesn't work out all the time. But because it's so hard to even just to find once a week to get together and to commit at least 4 hours to do something like that is a very difficult thing. But anyway, the reason I said that was because there was a lot of Easter eggs and things in that movie that are really cool to people that do play Dungeons and Dragons and understand a little bit of how the game works. But one of the coolest things, the one thing I will point out is that when you're playing the game, when you go into a battle with enemies and such, each player has to roll for initiative. And so it's like whoever rolls higher, like the higher you roll, the earlier you'll get to attack, since it's like a turn-based thing.
Mhm.
And in the movie, they actually each character attacked in initiative order. Like whoever attacked an enemy first, they wouldn't attack again on screen until it had went through all of the other characters. It was just little stuff like that that was like that you don't even realize is happening when you're watching the movie, and then you hear about it and go back to see it later. But
I
even
think it
beyond
just
that,
shows that they put a lot of care into
oh
it. Yeah,
yes,
which is
Yeah.
really important.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was just one of the things that I thought was really cool. I'd heard some other stuff about it, but even beyond that, there was a lot of really good acting. Chris Pine was really funny. He was of course the main character. He was the bard, and the action was really fun. It was just a really good for a top movie of the year. It was just a really good one-off movie. I can appreciate when I really like series, of course, like a series of movies, but I really have an appreciation for a movie that can do really well as just a one-off kind of movie, and it doesn't necessarily have to have a sequel or anything like that. Just as a good standalone movie that's just fun to watch. I thought this one did a really good job.
So correct me if I'm wrong though. Didn't they announce recently that they're making a second one?
I think they are going to make a second one. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the plan at first, but I think what I had heard was even if they do make a second one, it may be like a whole new cast.
I think that's
Just
the
because
beauty of
it's the kind of thing where you can completely change out the cast and
Yeah.
it still makes sense because it's just a new group of players pretty much.
Mhm.
I think that's the
But
beauty of
yeah.
that specific genre of Dungeons and
Mhm.
Dragons is you can, like you said, every campaign
Mhm.
you might have a completely different plot, but you can and different characters, but it works because people inside that genre understand. Like I understand enough about Dungeons and Dragons to know like that's really nice for like a studio that's trying to pump out movies. You don't have to worry about, oh, I got to pay this actor more to get him to come back or her to come back. It's like no,
Yeah.
you can just get different people to do different storylines and stuff. So that's pretty cool.
And it's one of those things where again they've got a lot of source material that they can pull from for that kind of stuff, because you literally have D&D rule books that they can pull from when they're making the movie. So they're like, can we actually do this? You just go look in the rule book, and there's stuff. I mean, people have all kinds of stuff documented for that kind of thing. So I think that's really cool, and it gives me a lot of hope for them making some more stuff in the future that's really fun like that. So I definitely recommend that. Even if you don't know a ton about Dungeons and Dragons, it's a really good just one-off fantasy movie.
Another movie to add to the list then.
Yep. Yep. Well, there you have it, folks. Our top 3 best movies we saw 2023. We really want to hear from y'all though. Give us your top 3 movies that you saw last year in the comments, and we'd really like to compare and contrast those because I feel like there's a lot of movies that maybe would have been on this list for a lot of people. I mean, movies that were not mentioned: John Wick 4, Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1,
Oppenheimer probably would be another one.
Oppenheimer, which is probably shocking that none of us had
No.
that on our top 3.
Well, I haven't even seen it yet. Like that's
I
the
haven't
shit.
either.
Yeah.
I just I don't know. It's we just want to hear what y'all think, and we'll just would love to converse with y'all. So yeah, that's all we got for this one.